Okay. All right. Good morning, folks. Let's get started here. Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands, ancestrylands.com. What a beautiful Tuesday morning, March 19th. Captain's log again. Folks, I can't hit this home hard enough about the need to prepare, the need to get ready. I talked yesterday about selling the sizzle and not the steak. This new wave of people are not going to buckle down, work hard. You're going to need some real world solutions for real world problems, and everything cannot be found online. You're going to still need to talk to humans. And one thing that I've learned, even with the young kids one of the young gentlemen I interviewed the other day, Jishnu, some of his friends needed a script in order to be able to converse. What a sad thing in this world. You got young men and women being educated, and they need to be able to prepare to be able to talk, to converse, to use their mind. They're scared to mess up. Everything's got to be perfect. Yeah, even other people who are on YouTube, many require a script to simply have the knowledge, speak the knowledge. I've had people meet with me all the time, and that's one of the reasons why people probably don't come to this channel as much, is because in this channel, every interview, everything is done organically. I don't use scripts. I don't use teleprompters, because there's a lack of authenticity when you have people who require prepared scripts and speeches. And again, I'm not a politician. I'm not trying to get your vote for something. I'm trying to expound upon knowledge that it comes from my own mind to teach it. And it should be in the raw, like sugar in the raw. That's a bad idea, buddy. This is why they make wide turns. You should slow yourself down there. See this guy right here, what he just did? It's a bad idea, man. Very bad idea. And a lot of times people are missing that, either because they don't have the subject matter at a mastery level, or they need to organize their thoughts in a way because they don't practice speaking. They may not even practice talking about the subject matter for which they're supposedly an expert for. So I've got an issue with that, because again, even the young teenagers, everything is prepared for you. You can see their parents don't spend time talking to them, don't spend time exchanging conversation with them, getting them to converse at an intellectually capable level, to be able to articulate their points, their reasonings, even rationale behind such thoughts. They're unable to do it. Why? And it's simply because school is raising our children to be robots, to be responders. Everything's got to be organized, but the world is not like that. You could see a person who just made a decision to swing out and make a right, or get into the right lane of a truck that's turning wide. That's a real world solution that no script can prepare you for. And people are scared to just be asked simple questions because they're invasive or intrusive, which is a weak defense against a person who does not have the mind to elaborate, illustrate, and pronounce and enunciate their point. The world is being dominated by intellectual inferiors who are challenged by just the simple thought of disagreement. Everything has to go along with what they say in order for it to be right. Being challenged and brought to open thought or a new way of thinking is invasive to their minds. It's a boogeyman hiding in the dark, lurking in the shadows, bringing all sorts of unkind disasters and frugalities upon them, right, in their mind. Transgressions. And I don't understand it. This world, you're looking at a world that's not going to be run by people who are thinkers, because they need a script. They're always looking for some guidance on what to say, the right thing to say. Or can I be prepared for the thing I'm about to say? You should be preparing your mind to be able to speak intelligibly on a daily basis. And that lets me know something too, is that, I mean, in a generation in the 90s, getting in front of a camera and talking about certain points, even if it sounded completely ludicrous or just crazy on its head, young people were explorers in the 90s. They weren't afraid to look silly. They weren't afraid to get past that shyness and make mistakes. You're not going in front of a spelling bee. You're going to be interviewed on your thoughts of certain subjects. And you can see people who are not prepared for that because they don't spend time having conversations about such topics. Every day I'm talking about land, mindset, generational wealth, which people tend to think that that's unaccomplishable, despite the examples being shown all around them in this world and in society. But again, people lack the knowledge. They sell the sizzle. That's all they build themselves upon, is the sizzle. Everybody loves the sizzle, my nizzle. And again, the practitioners, the people who are experienced, the people who are walking the walk and talking the talk, those are the ones who are in control, setting the pace and letting you know what it is and what it's going to be. So in your life, where you might be a top achiever, but you're a top achiever in a lower segment of that breed, of that stock, your prime rib ain't the same as my prime rib. Because again, even when we talked about selling the sizzle, selling the steak, there are some people where you can get a piece of steak, same kind of steak from a different supplier, and the price is double. And if the price is double, just because of who's raising it, then again, whoever sets the rules sets the price. Correct? Whoever sets the rules sets the price. Oh, it is a bumpy road over here, folks. You can see this. I'm trying a different camera angle today. Today the camera is more towards the front. It's actually in the floor of the passenger seat, the camera base, the tripod. I've tried switching the camera angles because I want people to understand that these are different videos. They have different dates. You're going to see Pennsylvania, me entering in the city of Philadelphia, different ways. You're going to see what it's like to drive on the East Coast. You're going to see exactly what it's like to be through morning traffic. You know, when my wife and we lived in California, you don't get to see this part of the East Coast. I never lived in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I never lived this part of west of Philadelphia. I used to live on the eastern side of Philadelphia in South Jersey. So it's a different highway, different drive, different feel. And every morning you're going to see now the spring starting to set in. So you'll see me make these drives and you'll see the beginnings of spring, as you've seen the videos where I've done it mostly in the winter. And we'll go through and do the videos in the summer so you can see the seasons of what life is like in Philadelphia and the surrounding areas and the suburbs. And who knows what other kind of footage we might catch. But again, I want to drive that home, folks, is that, again, you have to prepare yourself, your children, and it doesn't matter how old you get. The preparation is never ending. You've never made it just because you've retired. Because again, like I've said before, inflation and other issues, economic issues, they're not going to stop. They don't retire. Inflation doesn't retire at 65. It don't take Social Security. It doesn't take a government check. Inflation just keeps on inflating. Either inflating in price, inflating in the economy, inflating in foods and services, goods, or whatever taxes that are increased. That's always going to happen. And you've got people who are ready to check out of the game because they've checked out of life. No one wants to hurt anymore. My father used to say that all the time. Son, you're scared of the pain. And I say that not to, it's not a shout, or it's not a praise or a defamation of my father at all, because sometimes the pain can be unbearable for a child. It can. But I say that because it reminds me of a short phrase of how my father used to tell me what my weaknesses were, because I was scared to hurt. And that sometimes drove me, and this is mostly in sports, obviously, but a lot of times it drove me away from wanting to challenge myself to overcome something. Because the difficultiness was not a physical pain, it was a mental blockade. I apologize for sometimes the audio, the distortion sometimes in the audio. I'm trying to give you all the best footage, but I mean, listen, folks, I appreciate your support. I appreciate the people who watch this channel and find value beyond the imperfections of my video audio recording. But again, if you look back on the body of my work, on the recordings as I've done them, you can see evolution. You can see someone who's organic, who's thinking, how do I record content and work at the same time? Excuse me. How do I provide health insurance for my family and build the business? How do I make sure that my thoughts, the content I create, is always kind of ever changing, but it requires a mind to think, not an AI to script. Now, I can show you some videos that I do that are scripted. They're very generic. They're like a commercial. But that's not the mind that says, how do I make content when life gets in the way? That's what makes a content creator a content creator. What do I got to do? Because as I'm getting older, there's wisdom lost as I'm entering and going through my 40s. I will arrive at my 50s. And yes, that's an older age for you young people. But I'm going to ask you this. You ain't lived long enough to write me off. Live long enough. You'd be surprised with this older age what you learn about life that you didn't know before. And I will tell you this. Many of you see that sunrise. Look at that sunrise over there, man. Right over top of Philadelphia. Look at that. You can see it right over there. The sun has not already come up. It's just come up past the horizon right now. It is a beautiful shadow of the city there. I mean, I'm giving you content, but I'm also giving you some visuals. And look at that sunrise there. Now that's something you'll never get on the West Coast. You will get beautiful sunsets, hands down. I'll give the West Coast beautiful sunsets all day. But sunrises, not like they are in the East, baby. You'll get them like no other. And I lived on both coasts. I lived in the Southwest. I lived in the West Coast, Northwest. I lived in the Northeast. And I lived in the South. Only place I haven't lived is the Midwest yet. And I'm telling you right now, folks, you'll never get sunrises like you do in the East. You can see a nice sunrise in the West, but it ain't the same as you seeing the sunrise in the East, baby. It is nothing like it. Now back to what we were talking about again. Like I said, you got to have an adaptive mind. A mind built for conversation. A mind built to expound upon your position and viewpoints. I don't go into interviews preparing myself for what they may talk about. I already know what I can talk about, what subject matter I am fluent in. And I'm going to speak to that and steer them back into that same area where I'm proficient at. And if I don't know, I just don't know. Because simply, if you don't know, you can always just shut your mouth and not answer in the way of saying, hey, that's just not my area. I haven't gotten into that. I haven't done commercial real estate yet in the sense of brick and mortar buildings. I've done commercial land, but not commercial real estate, meaning in a brick and mortar house. But I have sold commercial land, vacant land. Yeah, I've touched it all. Agricultural land, commercial land, residential land, I've touched them all. So you might be saying at this point, Phil, okay, so what's the answer, right? How do I do that? How do I accomplish what you're saying and not just be a scripted bug who can only talk about what's in the script? Because again, if you ask a person a question, they've got to be able to articulate and get to that point. Nobody wants a person that skips around and never answers the question. answer the question. And yes, folks, the roads in Pennsylvania, they're bad not because they're not maintained, because these are, if you can see the difference in the roads, the left side is darker than the right, and that is simply because they patch up the roads as they break down. You can see little gaps, or you hear the bumps I'm going over, and that's simply because the extreme cold we have. You can get 100 and something degree days followed by 40, 30, even below freezing temperatures, and that will do a lot to the concrete. It will cause it to expand and contract as it cools and heats over time, and it does do something to break open the concrete or asphalt, if you will. Yeah, and it's allergy season. Look at that shot of Philly. You see that there? That's Philadelphia, folks. City of brotherly love. A whole bunch of death. In Philadelphia, they have something called row houses. These are houses that are connected in a row. Think of a bunch of townhouses all together, if you will. But they're called row houses because there are rows of them. They go all the way down an entire street. Where townhouses can be a little sectional. You might have 5 or 6 to a set, but these can go down 10, 15, 20 of them. You see how these buildings are all next to each other. Well, they have homes just like that. They're called row houses. Also in Philadelphia and much of the Pennsylvania areas, you have, I want to say, like similar to New York City a lot of times, where you might have 2 homes that are single family homes that are side by side next to each other. Like these are some examples here of row houses on our left that we just passed. But it might be 2 houses sharing one middle wall. And you got a yard, driveway, you got a backyard, and you just split that property. And it could be like a quarter acre too. I mean, it's not like there's a small areas as well. It's okay. I mean, it's pretty. You can see it. You know what I mean? So, interesting thing that's different than different areas where I lived at before. The row houses. Not necessarily my cup of tea. I don't knock it. You got to live here to be okay with it. Where New York City has more, they call them brownstones. Out in Brooklyn area, you'll see a lot of homes like that. Very similar style. I think they just have a different name, and there might be some small delineations or small details that make them different between why you would call something a brownstone and you call something a row house. But interesting nonetheless. I'm never like that. When and if I do buy a home one day, well, I'm more like when, not if, because I am getting tired of renting. But again, I won't sacrifice that because, again, the prices are way too high. People say the price is going to go up. What goes up must come down. You just got to be patient enough. Because again, I'm not buying because I'm scared of renting. I'm making financially wise decisions, making sure my money is right. And I'm building up cash reserves to make sure that I not only can afford getting into the house, I can do what I want with the house and have a quality of life worth living. I don't want to be in a house and be stressed for money every second of the day because I can't afford the house that I'm living in, because I didn't prepare to have any excess and luxury. I don't want to be a rich apartment renter and a poor house owner because I can't spend $5,000 for a family vacation because I'm going to be in debt. It's not how I want to live my life. And it takes a certain level of financial discipline in order to wait to achieve that outcome. And it may take you 50 years sometimes to do it. But again, the wait is worth it, because once you make the decision, it's a long lasting decision. You can't just pull it back in that way. And it never ceases to amaze me how people are making $1 million decisions when you think about how much you'll owe at the end of the amortization schedule. See my other videos for that. I have a video on why charging interest and what an amortization schedule is. If you don't know, you can also look it up on any YouTube channel, but I've done that too as well. And the playlist Educate Yourself is a few years old, but it still breaks it down very simply on how interest and amortization schedules work. And you're making these gigantic financial decisions in your life, and it's not a sound financial decision because again, you're running things off of debt. And again, at my age, there is a huge pressure when you have three children to own a home. But if you can't do it or you don't won't do, it's not like I can't qualify for it. It's not like I can't afford it if I want to. But again, I don't want to be on the hook for a big price knowing that I'm paying. I'm only doing it because I don't want to miss out on this opportunity. You know, you better get in a home right now when interest rates are low. Yeah, but my finances don't reflect that I should buy. Because what I don't need is just to be able to get into a house. I need to be able to afford a house, the maintenance, the work that's required if the plumbing goes wrong, and anything else that might happen with the home. You got to be able to manage it. And that comes with experience because when people start telling you what you should do, okay, you can see this now. Sorry. We're going to break for this. See, these are houses on the left. Those are called row houses because it's a whole row of them. You see, there's probably about 12 of them there. And it just, there's a side street and then it breaks again. Got another set of row houses. Come on, lady, let me. Okay, you're not going to let me in, right? You're just going to, okay, what are things going anyway? You got another set of row houses on the right and the left. These are called row houses. Okay, now I can get over. On the right and the left, this is what row houses look like. These are all row houses. These are not townhomes. These are not brownstones. They have a front yard. They have a backyard. It's rather small, but it's still a row house, quote unquote. That's what you're getting. You get another section of row houses. So you can imagine here, it looks very, well, these are people's homes. I don't ever want to talk about someone's home. But these are examples of row houses here. I'm not going to run this light because people tend to walk out. This is kind of, it's not New York-ish, but it is, it's tight. Because whatever's happening outside your door is happening outside your door, and that's it. I've seen some of these row houses, depending on how well developed the area is, but more than often than not, you'll get these sold for less than 300,000. Yes, 300,000, folks. These will run you 300,000. These boarded up. If you see right here on the left, this one's boarded up. Still run you close to 240 something boarded up. No, everybody sees a trap house or knows a trap house when they see one. I'm just passed by one, obviously. Ain't boarded up because they can't afford windows. Boarded up because they don't want to see what's going on inside. Shout out to them. Your thing, player. I don't advocate for drugs, but you got pharmaceutical companies selling people stuff that kills them every day. And no one bats an eye. So, this is what it looks like. But again, I'm driving through the area showing you what things are like. And they are gentrifying this area, but you better believe it. They're doing it closer to the college area of Drexel because they're putting in luxury apartments, and you can see they're going to continuously push out the people who can't afford it. Now, you have luxury houses next to the houses that look just like that. That's one thing about the changing world is that they're throwing up luxury apartments little by little. So you'll have luxury apartments right next to, boarded up row homes. It just will. Like you see this one right here getting reconstructed on your left. That one there, that'll end up turning that into something else. You have, and we're on Chestnut right now. We're going to pass by, what is the school here? It's an elementary school or something. Yeah, that's an elementary school look. And then you got more row houses. See, it's just an entire street full of, and these are different because they're probably a lot older. They're made out of brick. They have an upper balcony level where they have a balcony of brick too as well. So you can definitely tell that's a little bit older style. I dare say that one is probably a little bit more fancier. They probably were more high-end row houses because of the amount of brick that was used. That's a nice church right there on the right. You see more row houses. You see the trash is one of the things. You look at the streets, the amount of trash that is just thrown around. This is your neighborhood. Your home is out in front. Just the amount of trash on the streets. And also is that where do you store your trash at? Because trash pickup comes at certain intervals. You can see, and then again, the trash gets put out at the curb in bags. You can see the bags out at the curb of the street. That's where your trash is thrown, folks. And yeah, the neighborhoods are predominantly black, but you see, Caucasian people. I think it's Mexicans right there driving, riding across. The neighborhoods are mixed, but you can also see there on your left more boarded up homes over top of stores, either vacants, trap houses, or unoccupied. And they will turn around and um, fix those up. I wouldn't say refurbish, but renovate. And then we'll see as we get closer into Drexel, you'll start seeing where the luxury, commercial real estate will start being built. And what people say is gentrification is a form of gentrification, but it's not really done on race. It's done on an economic level. It's just that I think with African Americans, they don't get that there's value in real estate, even the land. Because realistically, if the building was so valuable, why would they change it? This is what I always try to get people to understand is something about land. You can see it now. All these row houses here, they're very much built the same. There's very few things. People might paint the arches a little different, but a lot of these are the original. They're the original row houses. They've only been done, like the surface areas have been done. Might got new inside walls, new flooring, things like that, but the outer brick is still the same. And you can see it again. And they look nice. Once upon a time, I imagine that this was very beautiful before it was overcrowded and became more city or metropolitan populated. Because you can see these ones right here on the right, they're gorgeous. Very well kept. And I don't think those are probably row apartments because it looks like there are multi levels to them. It's a little different. Northern California didn't have this. You had real apartment complexes. And see right here on this left hand corner, you're going to see this is where you're going to have a little bit of those luxury buildings starting to come up. You watch, it'll change. We are right by, what is that? West Catholic Prep, Chestnut area, Philadelphia. Philadelphia, like San Francisco and many other cities, has different areas. And then right here on the left, this building on the left here, not where the flags are, my immediate left here, this is called the Clark on Chestnut. Yeah, and it's definitely a luxury residential area. Yep. And it's right next to a Catholic school. But it's luxury living. So that's what they're doing. And you'll see more row houses over here to the right. It's a mural of Paul Robeson. You'll see more row houses over here, and the style changes. And one thing I will say, if you look on the right, the style will change on the right. The reason being is probably as you got closer to the city area, the price or the original design was probably more luxurious. Places on the right are called the brick. You can see right here they're constructing new commercial. It's either commercial or luxury, but again, you got more luxury. You can see how they're changing it. Look at that sign, luxury bedroom apartment. They're doing stuff on the right, and you can see they're removing the row houses. The people that live there, they're the last holdouts. But what they're going to do is they are going to get rid of those row houses and put up luxury apartments for it. And like I said, if the home was so valuable, then they wouldn't change it. They would leave it as it is. It would be historic, right? But it's not historic. The reason being is that the land is more valuable. And when I say the land is more valuable in the potential. You can see these ones over here on the left. These are more stone. They look a lot bigger. The land is more valuable because you can tear down and build up. And you can see they have row houses. They tore down those old row houses when you saw where they were just doing a construction we passed by on the right. They tore down those row houses. And what did they do? They put in a bigger building. Doing the same thing over here. All these leasing and rental spaces. That's exactly what they're doing. Because the land is more important. There's an old church right here on the right. St. Agatha, St. James, Roman Catholic Church here. There's another church, you can't see it, but to the left of this building, the Agatha and St. James Church is right here on the right-hand corner. And then across the street over to the left, there's this glass building, and right to the left of it is another old church. but it's a Philadelphia Catholic cathedral. Very old buildings here. I could look next to it. It's to the right of St. Agatha's Church is a parking structure next to another building. So again, like I said, the land is more valuable. That church would have sell that land, boy. Whew, you imagine what they put right here in this corner? Multi-million-dollar building here. Sorry about the bump, folks. But you can see this is what's happening. And is it a form of gentrification? Somewhat. But again, no, those when I look at that commercial listing next to those row houses that we saw, those row houses are still because they haven't sold. They either can't move or won't move. And you can see Philadelphia here, folks. So again, folks, and again, I could talk about this because I have knowledge and understanding of it. Everybody looks at gentrification as this old bad thing, but the city's got to make room for the new inhabitants or the population growth, and they're not going to do it because everybody wants to live in the ghetto and pollute on their own land. They're going to clean up the city and bring in more citizens who can bring more value because that's what the city needs. It needs more revenue. It's all business here. And the whole point is that can you get with the business? This domus here, this pink building here, these are school dorms for many of the students of Drexel University and other there's a Lebo College of Business, there's engineering, small college here. That's called domus, which is Latin for the word or dormitory. You can see other these commercial buildings here. Well, folks, I'm going to end it there. Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands. Don't forget, folks, my book is on Amazon, Getting Dollars from Dirty, Beginner's Guide to Vacant Land Investing. Written by yours truly with the knowledge from yours truly, experience from yours truly. Folks, don't forget, own property or be owned as property, folks. Phil Davis, and I'm out. Peace.
Are you confused with today's real estate market? With high interest rates and overpriced housing, it can be hard to find something to own at the right price. Available on Amazon, Getting Dollars from Dirt by author Phillip H. Davis is a game-changing book that invites you to embark on a thrilling exploration of this often overlooked asset class. This book is your roadmap to unlocking the secrets of vacant land investment. Inside these pages, you will uncover the transformative power of vacant land as a wealth-building tool. Discover how to spot promising properties, assess their true value, and capitalize on market trends. From understanding zoning and permits to leveraging financing strategies, you'll gain the knowledge and confidence to make savvy investment decisions. With each page you turn, you'll gain a deeper understanding of the profound impact your investments can have on the world around you. Getting Dollars from Dirt is not just a guidebook, it's a call to action. Whether you're a seasoned investor or a curious novice, this book will empower you to tap into the immense potential of vacant land and embark on a journey toward financial freedom and a brighter future.